Hey, we're live. Hi, everybody. How are you? Yay. We have got an awesome show planned today. So we're so glad you're with us, and please share with your friends. These shows are a gift. They're really getting to know us as coaches. Everyone on tonight is a coach, and we coach in different ways. And so this is Universal Heart Wisdom. And it's all about that, the heart, the love, the everything that makes our life work. And we are sponsored by the Love Coach Academy. And so we want to thank Scott Katamas of the Love Coach Academy. And Kamela and I are both love coaches, and we work with individuals, families, groups, teams, all about compassionate communications and handling shadow or challenges in relationships and how we navigate them to a win-win. I'm also a Sufi healer, and I lead retreats, adventure retreats in paradise, and I'm a healthy lifestyle coach. And tonight we have a very exciting guest, and I just want to mention that for years I was living in Maui, and I taught Tantra with my ex-husband, and we worked with that. How do we bring sacred sexuality and real intimacy into our lives? So we're going to be talking about that tonight. And Kamela, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yay, I am Kamela Love. You'll find me on Facebook as Kamela Peace. And I am a love coach, like Deborah said, with the Love Coach Academy. And I really enjoy helping people through conflicts in their intimate relationships. And that could be partner relationships. It could be parents and children. It could be siblings, co-housing. It could be housemates, really any of the relationships that are the most important ones in your life. And I work as a mediator as well. So that's why my sweet spot is really helping folks with conflict in their relationships and helping them with communication and empathy in their relationships. So we are delighted to be hosting this show today. And we have with us a very, very dear friend of mine, Johnny Vajra, who is a spiritual alchemist, an intimacy coach, and a pleasure educator. He incorporates sacred sexuality and mindful meditation to promote conscious community with workshops and immersion experiences. He's also certified as a Reiki Master and a Karuna Advanced Reiki Intuitive Energy Worker and a ThetaHealing Practitioner. He is also an ISTA with the International School of Temple Arts, as well as a graduate of the Practitioner Training there. So he founded Medagene Health, which he'll talk more about today. He facilitates Tantra workshops, including men's leadership mastermind titled the Luminary Lab. And he is going to speak today about an upcoming sex and happiness journey. So we are super delighted to have Johnny with us. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Kamela. Thank you, Deborah. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, so let's kick it off with a concept that I know is really important to you. So what does it mean to be your own witness?
Being your own witness. Wow, this is, for me, it's been my mental yoga, to be honest with you. It's this ongoing practice daily where the more that I sharpen it, the more that I practice and the more I exercise it, the deeper of my awareness that I start to realize within myself of what that means. And so what it means to me to be your own witness is, that we're in this space, us as humans, we have this filter of our mind that then creates this reality that's projected out based on everything that we're receiving. And when we are in that space of reacting to the reality that is running through these filters, then that we can stay in that automated mode of reaction and what some people say fight or flight, survival, and start to operate from that space. And when we get into the mindset or the mode of being our own witness, we take that extra step, that extra sense that is also us, that makes us such amazing beings, and this is scientific as well, that then allows us to see how it is that we're reacting, or how it is that how we're responding to the information that's coming into us as filters. And then with a pause allows us an opportunity to take action from that space. And when we take action from that space, that's where then we can start to become what the big trend buzzword is: more conscious, more intentional with how we are living throughout our day.
Nice.
That's wonderful. Yeah. So yeah, we're jumping right into really being present with ourselves, because we're all about self-love and self-care. So what does radical acceptance mean to you?
Radical acceptance. Yeah. Kamela, radical self-acceptance, radical acceptance, like all of them. They're totally radical. I'm an 80s baby, so it's like, wait, I mean, the Ninja Turtles used to talk about that, and now all of a sudden it's like, it's a thing. So yeah, it's radical acceptance. Kamela and I, we really dissected that in a video that if you look on my page, you can see a YouTube of us talking it through and more deeply, or just getting concise with it. Radical acceptance is acceptance of what is in the moment now. And when we accept what is in the moment, then there's an opportunity for us to release the charge of how we feel about what is now. Say, for instance, for example, I need to get to work at 9 a.m. and I've got about 15 minutes, and it's going to take me 20 minutes to get there by Google Maps. So I'm hitting every red light, and there's the slowest person decides they want to be on the road right now. Then, where am I at with that? Do I respond and react based on the anxiety that I may be feeling, or do I accept what is in the moment and really be present with my feelings, with my charge, with my triggers, and allow myself to be at peace with what actually is happening within that moment? Do I respond from peace, from compassion, or do I react to my environment? And radical acceptance is the response, is that conscious response of what is.
Nice. Yeah, I love how we just jumped into talking about radical acceptance and talking about being our own witness. And I'm going to backpedal for a second. A little bit of an understanding of who you are and the kind of work you do. And, the term spiritual alchemist is such a cool term. And we want to know a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Awesome. Yeah.
That's how we usually start.
All right. I'm like, wow, y'all hitting me hard. Let's go.
Who are you and what is your work about?
Yes, perfect. It's like, Johnny awake? Check. And now, yes, Johnny Vajra, I refer to myself as a spiritual alchemist because that has been my life's journey, is understanding what spirituality means to me, and learning what it means also to transform and transmute my experiences, my wounds, my shadows or unconscious patterns, as well as the unconscious programs that I'd subscribed to in the past that now really are no longer serving me. And on that journey, I started out, I was raised in a very strict religious background. And with that, I learned a lot about religion. I learned a lot about spirituality through that. And I'm very thankful to it as well for that. And to my mother, if she ever watches this, I'm thankful to her as well for giving me some structure so that I could then really build my spirituality, or at least to allow that to bud and blossom within me. And when I came to a crisis of conscience with the religion and spirituality and what that meant to me, and I made the decision consciously to leave the religion one of the biggest pieces to me that I needed to connect with was like, am I losing my spirituality by leaving this religion?
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was in that space of like, am I, then it was, well, okay, so how do I continue to stay connected with my spirituality, even though I am saying goodbye to this chapter of my life with religion? And that's where the alchemy came, because there was a lot of research, there was a lot of conscious soul searching, and there was an opportunity for me to really dive into those conscious programs that that were now operating unconsciously within me and creating dialogue of judgment, shame, guilt, fear of stepping into unknown spaces that may have been a little bit taboo for my previous chapter with the religion. And so with the alchemy piece, it was an opportunity for me to, what I say, like, bring it to the fire. You know, when we talk about, you know, the altar, or even like you think of a campfire, you know, when people sit around and they talk about, you know, the things they're willing to let go of. So I'm bringing it to the fire. I'm looking at it with awareness, acknowledgement, and love and acceptance of how it got me here, and gratitude for it getting me here, and then letting it go. And when I let it go, feeling that release in my body, and how that somatically shifts my being.
Yes.
And once I really truly feel that release and that shift, then I am now allowing or opening up space for newness, for the unknown, for more love, and for opportunity and possibilities. And that's where the alchemy takes place.
Okay. Yeah. So it sounds like emotional release is so important, a part of the journey of people really learning how to love ourselves so that we can love another, and how to be comfortable in our own skin, you know, so that we can be intimate with our partner, or is really a real dance. Yeah, for me as a dancer in my background, and you were saying you love to dance. We were talking before and having a fun conversation about bachata and everything. And you just mentioned such a big change. I can kind of understand what you're implying, Kelly, coming from a traditional, a spiritual path, and then expanding into this whole world of Tantra and new spirituality. So can you talk about what is intentional intimacy and how can we cultivate it?
Yeah. So intentional intimacy into me, I see, and then into me, you see. And it starts with the into me, I see, because when I was in a space where I was relating and going based on how I thought that I should be in relationship, how as a cis male I should be in, you know, taking care of a woman, and, you know, and like all of those paradigms that were, and then realizing that when I was going by that, you know, that American dream or the guideline that we learn of how to relate with someone, that wasn't working for me. Then I hit the drawing board, or I shook the Etch a Sketch. I'm going to date myself. And said, okay, how do I want to draw this? Like, what does this look like to me? And that's when I did a lot of work, and I started stepping into Tantra. And I went to a retreat with the International School of Temple Arts, and in that learned more about what intermarriage meant. I didn't even understand that at the time. How everything that I'm looking for outside of myself, that ideal relationship that I'm looking for outside of myself, well, it's always been here. the one true love that I've been looking for, I see it every day in the mirror, and I haven't recognized it. So it was like, okay, whoa, what's going on here? And then when that was brought to my awareness, then all of a sudden there was all these new ways that I could learn how to love myself and learn how to be more intentional and more intimate, and how to experience pleasure in new ways. And just this whole world of curiosity opened up into my field. And so that part really helped me to become more intentional, was when I raised my awareness field into the idea that I am capable of all the love that I am seeking, that I can give that to myself. I am capable of giving that to myself. And also I am responsible for providing that for myself. And then from there is where I can identify or attract the lover, the partner that I may desire or may be seeking.
Beloved.
Self-love, it always comes down to it. I feel like in my life, the deepest that I go with spiritual practices, I find that self-love is actually the deepest spiritual journey, because it's really about us coming to know ourselves as manifestations of divine. And from that state of love, of self-love, loving others and knowing others as manifestations of the divine. So that intermarriage is so beautiful.
Yes,
so
it is.
As you're working with people, I know you use emotional release as a technique. Can you share how you use that, what it is, how it helps people get to this intermarriage?
Yeah. So I've heard the phrase, or if you've ever heard the phrase, you feel it, heal it. You got to feel it to heal it. and so a lot of the core wounds that we may have, or the traumas that we may have experienced in the past, they're held in our bodies and our cells somatically, and that as very dense energy. And so that's where we start to feel very heavy, and we may experience chronic pain somewhere. They may manifest as chronic pain, and then that chronic pain then manifests as disease. And when we come to terms with that and acknowledge what the root is, or even just acknowledge that there's charge around these memories that we have, whether they're memories in our minds or memories in our bodies, we don't need to bring and create more story around them, because there's already plenty of stories that the mind loves to create and go off into the realms with. And so instead of talking more about it and dissecting it and analytically, we can get more primal with it. And primal, we think about, say, the gazelle. The gazelle is being chased by the lion, and its life is on the line. And once it has made it to safety and it's done, like there's no more threat, the first thing that gazelle will do is emotionally release. It will shake it off, get all of that energy, all of that nervousness, the fear, the anxiety, the tension out of the body. And then it can go back about its day and hit the watering hole and be like, yo, hey, what's up? It's good water, right? Yeah, I like it too. But until then, that emotional release, that release of that energy, that intense energy, needs to be gone from the body. And so the same way with us as humans, when we allow ourselves that opportunity to release that energy. And we have there's a number of different techniques. I know Lori Handlers is one of my mentors, and she wrote the Sex and Happiness book. And she goes through a number of different emotional release techniques. And those are the same ones, as well as ISTA. ISTA provides quite a few of them. And those are what I share with my clients as well. Is what technique, whatever it may be that works for you, do it, and do it daily, because when you do it and create it as a practice, then it also allows us to be in that space where we're now coming current with what is in the moment for ourselves, versus creating the stories about what's been happening in the past.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is an amazing world, because many times, as you said, people are brought up and they haven't really had the conversation really about sacred sexuality. Some people are just thrown into the arena and they're supposed to know what's going on and they really don't. So how can we make our sexuality more sacred? What are ways of creating ceremony and ritual together? Because I remember when my ex-husband and I went to a week-long at Esalen with Charles and Carolyn Muir. We really explored, bringing the candles out, the bringing a gift to each other, bathing each other, sacred spot work, really ceremony. So what are some of the ways that you love to explore yourself or coach your clients?
Yeah, sacred sexuality, we can say, is, it's very closely aligned to intentional intimacy. Sexuality and it's intentional sex with intention. We say, when we think about what intention means, it means having a conversation. It means tuning into what's going on with myself and partner, saying what's going on with themselves and where they're at in that moment. Doing a weather report, checking in and saying, hey, okay, this was a pretty rough day for me. I would like to let all this out, and I would love to be present. I need to be witnessed in letting this out, and then I can be fully present in this moment. And then as the partner, holding space for that person, witnessing without judgment, for that person to let that out, not taking it personal. Yeah, and once we've both exchanged that witnessing without judgment, being in that space of being current with each other, what does intimacy look like for both of us right now? Okay, let's talk about desires, fears, any boundaries that may be coming up. And, maybe my desire is a massage right now because I need to completely relax. And my fear is that you're going to want to get really sexual right now as my partner, and I'm not really ready for that. And my fear is that I'm going to be rejected. I feel like I just froze. Okay, cool. Yeah. And my boundary is that I would like for you to communicate, if you're in a space that you're really not open to that right now, and we can negotiate when you may be open to that, so that we can, we can stay in that space of alignment. And so that would be the start of a conversation for creating more sacredness in the bedroom, or just in the moment with each other. And then it goes deeper, and we can keep unwrapping that one. But yeah, that's pretty much the essence of it.
Okay. I just want to say, I want to add into this, and then Kamela's going to ask you a question. Just whatever really creates safety. Like many times people need to feel the energetic, kinesthetic trust, and that's why we used to use the eye gazing so much, or like sitting yab yum, or sitting in front of each other, and some kind of breathing together. Yeah, really bringing it down to a grounded presence together. I think people forget sometimes that there's this whole thing they have to do and they think they have to perform, instead of that it can be so organic when we sit with each other and communicate and eye gaze and even sharing appreciations. In Love Coach Academy, they have a whole thing about sharing appreciations, what we're loving about each other right now. What are we grateful for? And yummy, yummy stuff that builds the yummy. So anyway, Kamela, what would you love to
Yeah, that's so real what you said. I mean, just listening to what both of you said, it's like, Johnny, I hear you talking about communication as one of the most important inroads to intimacy and to creating sacred sexuality. And, you know, Deborah talking about honoring each other and appreciating each other, that's such an important practice to allow us to feel safe. And from that feeling of safety, we open. We open energetically, we open physically, we open. So, you know, in the process of working with your clients, Johnny, and teaching them emotional release and teaching them communication, how to talk about boundaries, fears, and desires, I'm sure that shadow work comes up, right? Because there's no way for us to really take people to deeper intimacy without dealing with the shadow. So would love to hear you talk about shadow work.
Shadow. That's great. Right.
So we don't want to get lost in our heads. This is heart work. This is universal heart. So I always say breathe into it.
That's right. Exactly. Yes, I love that.
Then your magic flows. Then it just comes out so naturally.
Yeah. Shadow work, I would say, you know, one, to demystify shadow work. When I first heard shadow work, I was like, oh my God, am I even ready for that? Like, I don't know. Wow, all kinds of judgment and fear and, you know, just body movements and just started coming up when I first thought about shadow work in the past. And then I dug into it, and also Carl Jung, he talks about shadow work quite a bit. You know, it's like if you really want to go into depths and have your mind like just warped in all different ways and then put back together as it is, like, whoa, Carl Jung, absolutely. And what I've come to understand is that it's our unconscious patterns. Like that's really what shadow work is. We think about, you know, us as these beings in our totality, and there's consciousness and there's subconsciousness or unconsciousness, and you know, to even unpack that, you know, so that we're grounding what may seem woo-woo is that, you know, our hearts beat without us saying, hey, okay, beat on this time. You know, our blood pumps through our bodies without us saying, okay, go to the finger. All of that is happening in real time as we're thinking, oh, did I just say that wrong? Or, oh, actually, my stomach's rumbling. I think I'm hungry. So we have these other aspects of this beautiful brain that are constantly working in parallel, completely autonomous from each other. And in that, there are also programs. There are automated responses, automated thoughts when we think about brushing our teeth. And if we just brush our teeth with our right hand every time without thinking about it, that becomes an unconscious pattern. Mm-hmm. And going into just like side note, Tantra, if you're really into like learning more about Tantra and more awareness of yourself, one of the things that really helped me that I read was if you do brush your teeth with the right hand all the time, change it up, brush your teeth with the left hand and see how that feels. That then starts to activate other aspects of your brain, your left, right hemisphere, integrate them more, and then also connects you deeper with that awareness of becoming the witness, going back into the first question. So going into the shadow, the toothbrushing, that unconscious pattern, we've have also unconscious patterns that have been created based on especially that first 7 years of our life, where we're in theta. The brainwave state is in a theta state, which means that our conscious and unconscious, our subconscious, are closely linked together, and everything that we're taking in from all of our senses, we're also subscribing, accepting as truth to back in our survival as human beings. And so in that, when we have those patterns that are there, some of them are like, don't cross the street without holding someone's hand. And now I'm 37 and I can't cross the street unless I've got somebody's hand to hold. That might be a pattern that I need to to shift as an adult. And that's where we start doing shadow work, is identifying what are these things, what are these patterns that we have that we're still subscribed to that are really no longer serving us in the now, and then doing the work that we need, emotional releasing, or acknowledging them, as well as reaching out. There's a number of different ways that theta healing that we can then reprogram the mind. Habits are really great. Say 21 days of doing something different or more. That will create a habit that will then fire different synapses in the brain, so that then it shifts that pattern.
Yes, 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 yes. So important. That's why I love dance. I mean, I love, music and dance and the arts. And, they say in Tantra, it's really like the 64 arts in Tantra. And some of it is dancing together, massaging together, bathing together, meditating together, yoga together, adorning ourselves. So many things to explore. I once designed a workshop that was all about rejuvenating your relationship. And I think I had people doing couples yoga, couples dance, couples cooking together, couples meditating together, couples massage. There's so many different things we can share as couples, and or just taking a magnificent walk at the beach, or hiking together. Just all the different ways we can build intimacy. And I love what you were saying about shadow work too, because it's like, Kate Wolf's thing I love is built a circle that holds us all inside. And then what is inside that circle, it's natural that the shadow will come up to be healed. It's kind of inevitable, right? It's hard to avoid. So you have an event coming up. So who is this upcoming sex and happiness journey for? And can you tell us about it first?
Yeah, absolutely. Say I'm very excited about it. It's starting in December 1st. This is the third journey, and the last one ended about a month ago, 3 weeks ago, I think it was. And yeah, it's amazing. It's really a deep dive into the work of Laurie Handler's, and it takes the book Sex and Happiness, which is a very, very simple read. It's like talking to Laurie, having a conversation with her. And this is like 7th grade level, education about intimacy, the tantric laws of intimacy, what that means from the sexual aspect, non-sexual, all of it, non-verbal, goes into dance, like what you were saying, Deborah, dancing in the unknown. What does that even mean? And it's juicy and it's amazing and it's wild, and there's so much room for growth and for healing and transformation. And we go into that and we go deep in, and it's a virtual journey that's 10 weeks. We'll be meeting on Tuesdays, and that'll be about an hour and a half. And then we'll also have an opportunity for folks to meet separate from there, so that they can really connect with each other as community. And
when you say meeting, do you mean in a brick and mortar building, or do you mean online?
This will be virtual.
Virtual. Okay.
Yes. What's that?
That's an important fact.
Absolutely. Yes. Especially during these times. So this is, we're really happy to be able to reach so many people. And this is all about helping you remove your emotional blinders, the ones that are keeping you from seeing yourself and your partner more clearly. And these blinders are like, we talk about the shadow, all of these things that we've discussed. How do we really embody that? It's great to talk about it and wax philosophical. And the only way that we're really going to shift is if we actually do it, and we do it as a practice, like a yoga or like working out or like brushing our teeth.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the embodiment takes place, and that's where the shift happens. And this is what we're doing in this journey.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Nice. And then I hear there's another exciting event coming up in March in Austin, March 24th in Austin. What's happening then?
That's ISTA. If you want to know more about what I was talking about earlier, International School of Temple Arts, and you want to go in the deep end, like, okay, you've identified some shadows now. You've gone through the sex and happiness journey, and you're like, whoa, okay, this is deep. I love myself, and there's some parts of myself that I'm really, really loving, and I'm loving an opportunity to shift. So that's where ISTA comes in, and I'm co-organizing it, and that is going to be in Austin, Texas, on 2021, March 24th to the 30th. We have about 22 people signed up already. There's been quite a bit of response very quickly, I believe, because of COVID, that there's a lot of people looking to connect. This is live in a retreat space, and this space is in Texas. They have already done everything that they need to go above and beyond what the standards within Texas are required for COVID, even as far as like changing their whole air circulation system to make sure that it's up to par. We have all the guidelines. We're going to make sure that people are taking care of themselves and are creating a safe container, both with physical safety, health, as well as creating that container for emotional and all the things safety.
Nice.
Okay. Wow. So what else would you love to tell us about your work? I mean, what's on your heart right now? What's most alive for you?
The sex and happiness journey is most alive for me, to be honest with you, because I mean, this is, for me, it's amazing that I have a privilege and an opportunity and the honor to be working with Lori Handlers herself, the Lori Handlers. Look her up, lorihandlers.com, if you don't know her. She's amazing, as well as Brianna Krevire, Michael Gibson, Veronica Clark. I mean, all of these people are doing amazing things in their own ways, beautifully sharing their light and their love with the world. And we're all going to be together, really holding an amazing space for these beautiful individuals who are co-creating this experience with us. And it's really, we have a template, we have structure, and we have space to allow for the unknown to really, really create magic together.
Mm-hmm. Nice. What's one example, if you can think of one off the top of your head, of an exercise that you teach there, or a gem that you give people there, something that people would walk away with in the sex and happiness journey?
Oh man, so there's so many. I mean, being the witness, like that was a big thing. Like that's one of the first ones. Another that we'll talk about is surrender, what it means to surrender, even speaking your truth. So that for me, whoa, it's like, how does that even look? And is it even safe to speak my truth? Woo! That one, yeah, really, really touched me, and it's a daily practice to speak my truth and come from that space of compassion for myself as well as for my partner and for my loved ones. Yes, that I would say learning how to do that from as a being in the Jedi space with that everybody could use that.
Oh, that is so true. That is so true. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Speaking our truth, it kind of like sprongs my brain out. I'm just thinking of yeah, in compassion communications work, it's really learning how to avoid words that would trigger, where you can say the same thing, but saying it with the heart diplomacy, where it allows somebody else to be totally safe and honored, but we're saying something. So, I mean, that's part of it, right? Just choosing words that bring us together instead of words that divide us, choosing energy that brings us together. And it reminds me, when you said something, it reminded me of how grateful I was as a young person in my 20s to learn contact improvisation, right when I was 22, and then to be teaching it, because we were literally following a mutual point of contact through space and over the landscape of each other's bodies. And we were so much, learning kinesthetically in the nonverbal space, how to be in presence and peripheral awareness, and really it just created so much body presence. And then study Tantra and all those skills which you are, studying and developing. It's really very important.
We're getting a lot of feedback, Deborah. Just trying to touch the device. There we go.
Darn. Gosh. Did you hear what I said?
Back up a sentence or two.
Yeah, I'd say from the Tantra part is where,
So from the Tantra, I just wanted, did you hear me what I said about
contact improv? Yeah, you were talking about how there's a lot of that kinesthetic and the feedback. And then also, I kind of mentioned about how it's incorporated in Tantra as well. And it's where we start to connect with ourselves and connect with the body.
Yeah, connecting with each other, heart, mind, body, soul, and the deeper we go with our spiritual practices and really focusing on divine love and whatever you do in your spiritual practices, or people out there in our audience, through meditation or prayer, or where you find connection, even walking in nature, to keep bringing in greater depth and honor and gratitude, and so many different ways to explore with daily practices. I know we're just barely scratching the surface. There's so much to explore. So I definitely want to acknowledge your events that you have coming up, and that people can find you, on your website, which Kamela will put up there, johnnyvajra.com. And I am just so grateful that you've come to grace us at Universal Heart Wisdom. And I want to say I'm so grateful that Kamela Peace has been here also as a co-host. She's very busy as a mediator and, a lawyer and a coach, and all the different ways that she works with people. So I'm grateful that you've been here, Kamela, and that next week I will have a new co-host on, and I want to announce what's coming up next week. So we have a person, Laura Lee Lizak, and she is an internationally recognized full embodied channel of Kuan Yin, the Bodhisattva of compassion. And Kuan Yin has been igniting through Laura since 1992 in full personality, comes through her voice, mudras, movement, and is often seen in Laura's body during these transmissions. So Kuan Yin ignites personal and mass enlightenment experiences to powerfully ignite. Anyway, that sounds like a repeat. I'm reading this and wanting to deliver it to you because I always have different guests on. So many thousands around the world have enjoyed this experience. So she's going to literally go into trance and then bring in Kuan Yin, and then be talking to the world out there and to all of you, the audience, and bring a very amazing experience. I've already experienced it once with her, and it brings so much joy, empowerment, energy, juice. Wow. So I hope you come back to the show next week. And Johnny, do you want to talk about your event again in case people are just now jumping on, or just so they could write it down?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Deborah. It's the Sex and Happiness Journey. And if you go onto my website, johnnyvajra.com, there's a link on the top that says workshops, and then you'll see it there. It says Sex and Happiness Journey 3, and it'll take you directly to that registration page, which has all the information on the program as well as what's included, which is quite a bit, actually, what you're getting for the value that you'll receive, including the book and all of Lori's work, which is like, wow, it's amazing. There's so much wealth of knowledge there and wisdom. Yeah.
Lori's work sounds amazing. And I do want to say, I don't know if it was said here, but there are many forms of Tantra, the 8-limb path of Tantra, of yoga. There are many forms of yoga. And Tantra is one of the forms of yoga. And yoga means union with God. So it's therefore, you're really uniting with the divine, with spirit, through intimacy and sexuality. There are other forms of Tantra. So this has been a great show, and I'm going on to help with another class right after this. So I think, why doesn't anybody say what they'd love to say in our last few minutes?
I'd just like to thank all of our viewers, our listeners. It's been a pleasure co-hosting this show with you, Deborah, for the last month and a half. Thank you for inviting me on this beautiful journey of universal heart wisdom. Deborah and I go back 15 to 20 years in a Sufi community that we're still a part of and still really cherish. And the Sufi path is all about the heart, all about the wisdom of the heart. So I was honored to be invited and brought on as your co-host. So thank you. And I wish you well in future endeavors. And Mr. Vajra, an honor and a pleasure as always spending time with you. Thank you for joining us and sharing your wisdom and your sexy and your future workshops and everything that you got going on. So thank you.
Yes, and I want to thank both of you. And it is really special to me, Kamela, that we've known each other so long, and that we have gone through the Sufi path and worked with this very deep form of healing that I hope you'll reach out to both of us for, and Love Coach and all the compassionate communications. And thank you, Johnny, for your very beautiful work. And I wish you well on your workshops and retreats. And I'm glad that you're up in St. Petersburg and I'm here near Sarasota. So I hope I see you soon and we all go out dancing with a bunch of friends.
Absolutely. Yes. Such a pleasure and an honor to be here. Kamela, Deborah, thank you so much for inviting me here. And this is an amazing journey that we're all on. And thank you all you viewers as well. Anyone who has any other questions on what we've scratched the surface on, feel free to reach out to me directly.
Yes, please do. And we encourage you as you go forward into your week, just more self-love, self-care. Come explore us at the Love Coach Academy. Yeah, it's good to hug yourself.
That's what I was like.
And COVID, this is important.
This is COVID and shelter in place. We got to give ourselves a lot of hugs. I just said that recently that, hey, this feels.
Yeah, if you need a hug, hey, you've got 2 arms right here. Go ahead and use them.
Why not? Hey, self-pleasure in all sorts of different ways. So we love you. Have a great week. Self-love, self-care, compassionate communications. See you next week. This show is always on Thursday at this time. Thank you.